Very good. Very good. It is good to see you bright and early. And there for a second, it was, hey?
I'm recording now for put the my web blog with for the teacher Fabrício Braz
Uh-huh.
Abuja.
Right.
So
For the teacher,
I'm
the teacher and the professor. Yeah.
the professor, Professor Juliana.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. So Pete, tell us. I'm here. I'm Ricardo de Almeida Figueiredo, second grade of journalism at University Anhanguera de São Paulo.
Uh-huh.
I'm here proud to interview the great actor Peter DeLorenzo. So Peter DeLorenzo, tell us from Anhanguera about your show.
Well, what would you like to know?
Your web show, the film Mentor.
Oh, my movie. Yeah. Well, I wrote the film quite some time ago. Began writing it quite some time ago, and then I went back in and, as any screenwriter would do, you polish, you perfect, you hone it, and did a lot of editing as I wrote, and because there was so much involved in the film, there was many scenes that, as I went along, I altered, in the script. Some I expanded on, some I lessened, some I took out completely and added other scenes. So when you write, sometimes that happens even right down to when you're on set filming, you're making alterations. And it just poured out of me, like sweat. When you love your work, when you love what you do, and you have a message to share to the world. And as you know, in the motion picture business, many films are made that, it's an expression of life. Music is a universal language. Film does much of the same. As in a good book, as in a good book that is written, you want to read it again and again. A good song, you want to hear it again. And I make films that touch the mind and touch the heart, touch the soul.
Oh, great, great.
Because
your movie will be a success. I want to see your movie here in Brazil.
uh-huh.
I expect your movie pass in our cinemas here in São Paulo, all Brazil in the world, overseas.
Right.
So tell us about your projects, your humanitarian charity.
Yes, humanitarian. Much of like my lady Marcella always says, for that type of work, you don't get paid, and I've always done from my heart to try and reach out and make our world a better place for all of us to live, and regardless what country, what color our skin, what nationality, we are all God's children. We are all one. He created us in His image. So thereby, whether it's one-on-one to help a child or an elderly person or a homeless person, or whether it's to the masses, and I've been with many organizations that are legitimate and good organizations to help people in need. I've been honored that this past April they appointed me as Ambassador-in-Chief of World Peace, and that is truly an honor to reach out and touch the world, and get medicine and water and food and school supplies to villages and children and elderly people and people that are destitute, that have nothing, poor and destitute, and to instill, you and I, all of us, none of us could truly put complete peace out there in the world, because there's always going to be, Ricardo, people that are evil and have evil in their heart, and want to kill and maim and hurt, and there are many countries that are taught that from a child. But what we can do is put a dent out there, at least put a message that people can start to turn their minds and their hearts around, to learn to get along in unison, to stop the prejudice, to stop the hatred, to stop the violence. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm just one person, I can't.
Yeah. You're a comedian too, huh? You make a stand-up comedy too.
Yeah.
I saw your web shows, and you sing New York, New York from Frank Sinatra.
Yes, actually.
Tell about the show you're singing.
Yeah, well, actually, I started as a singer. When I was young, I learned to play a little piano and a little guitar from my uncle. My
Great.
mother's brother David taught me. I was like just a little child, and by 7 years old,
Uh,
was able to, they saw I had talent in singing, and I carried it through my whole life, through high school, and had my own band, and then after high school, actually started professionally performing, and yeah, so I started as a singer and never gave up my music, but from that, I was always a
yeah.
natural gift that God gave me to make people laugh, so always, was
Uh,
the guy that, at a party, you made people laugh, or, family get-togethers,
I know.
many people encouraged and said, you should do it professionally. And right out of high school, I went into the fine city of New York, and I began my
Uh,
career on the streets of New York, working the comedy clubs and, the restaurant lounges and cabaret clubs. And that was the beginnings of it. And then it was probably, like mid-70s,
yeah.
that Mr. Joe Franklin, who was
Yes.
my mentor, who I just lost.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he passed away just maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that was a great loss. That man
Uh,
launched. He believed in me, and he launched and virtually, gave my career
uh,
its boost. And he made, through radio and television exposure is where my career was launched, thanks to him and to God.
uh. Our stand-up comedian are Danilo Gentili.
Uh-huh.
Do you hear about him, Danilo
I
Gentili?
heard the name, yeah. Yeah.
I will send you a video from Danilo Gentili.
Yeah, he's well known in your.
Rafinha Bastos, another one, Tom Cavalcante. We have a lot of stand-up comedian here in Brazil.
Yeah.
Danilo Gentili, Rafinha Bastos,
Uh-huh.
Tom Cavalcante, and others.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good.
So,
That's good. People.
I meet Danilo Gentili in person. I know him in person, Danilo Gentili.
Right.
I met him at a fair here in São Paulo, Comic Con,
Uh-huh.
and he a nice guy.
Yeah. Well, Ricardo, people need laughter. One of my main slogans is that laughter is the hand of God on the shoulder of a troubled world. It is a
Uh,
fact, even medicinally, that laughter is a curing agent and heals people, because it heals the soul, just as music does, just as the arts do. That laughter and releases endorphins in the body that are healing agents. And we all need to laugh, and sometimes it's hard because people are troubled in the world, and laughter is the hand of God on the shoulder of a troubled world. It takes that. When I go on stage and perform, and I've said this in many interviews, it's not about me. A lot of people, it's my livelihood, it's my living, but I love what I do, and to have that gift from God to be able to walk on a stage to a microphone for an hour or an hour and a half in concert and bring laughter and music to people. You see people from all walks of life. You see the oppressed. You see people that are sick, out of work, going through marital problems or relationship problems. For that hour, I'm there for them. And to make them be able to forget their problems and bring them laughter is a wonderful thing. And I thank God.
yeah. Another thing that you do, you are a director too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Director, actor. You make a movie, some movie besides of the mentor. You made another film in the past.
Yeah, to date I've done 16 films. Yeah. And I actually, like I said, it started with my music, but then when I went into professionally, it already was professionally with the music, but when I went into New York and began my career as a comedian, I loved television and film, and I was in broadcasting for years on the radio. The comedy and the acting kind of went hand in hand, my passion for TV and for film and all of it. And then that led later to which I do now is the screenwriting and producing and directing as well. I want to do it all. And but yeah, the acting, I was very fortunate that I would say, I started out like most people, just doing background and extra work, and then worked my way up to you became a featured extra, and then you got lines, and then I was co-starring and starring in films. So and the films were bigger and better films, and that's how it works. And I I always tell anyone aspiring in the arts to stay focused, to love what you do, and don't get a big head. You have to be humble, and you work hard, and it will. And this is much of the message in my film, that it will inevitably come to pass. Love your craft. Always work on perfecting it, and share and help others too. You know, a lot of actors and actresses don't want to let anybody else know about things, and they don't collaborate. They don't help each other out, and I find that when you do, God brings it back to you. You know?
Yeah, great. So you are a writer too, a writer.
Yeah, I've written.
Author.
Yeah, I've written. You know, I always had a flair and a passion for that way back in school too, and I have a literary degree that when I went to college, you know, in writing, and but the passion for writing led to, you know, writing for the screen, which was the very first time for me writing for the big screen. But I've written pieces that were published in magazines and worldwide newsletters and newspapers, and pieces that I've read on the air when I broadcast, and that led to, you know, me saying, wow, you know, when I got the concept of what I wanted to do with the film and the movie, back to when you asked me about my movie, it is kind of loosely based, it's based on a true story, loosely based on my life and career, with some fiction blended in, you know. There are areas with fiction, but and the powerful message in my film is to love what you do what you love, and do it with all your might, and you don't hurt others along the way, you don't get greedy, you walk with God. And the other part of it is that whoever it is in your life, your loved ones, your family, you know, your significant other, you don't just tell them, you show them every day of your life. Action speaks louder than words. And I have been very blessed with a woman that God has given me as a gift from God. I love her with all my heart. You see, so everybody needs to hear, I love you. We all need to hear it. But to show it, some people don't know how. Others, they talk it, but they don't show it. They do just the opposite. So we get our love from God. And the love He shows us is what we are to show to each other. And that's the message.
Yes. Yeah. So, did you see that we have some protests here in Brazil about our president Dilma Rousseff impeachment? Did you know our corruption here in Brazil? How do you think about that? The corrupt Petrobras corruption, Lava Jato.
The corruption, you say?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, Ricardo, it's a point where we discuss this on my show each Sunday, Direction of the Heart, that there's corruption no matter where we go. Your country, my country, on our streets, within our government, there's corruption. And again, it goes back to that we can't control all of it, you know? We can't. Because, you know, what stops it is their lust for money, power, and greed. And I was on a conference with the United Nations, and wanted to pose to them, why is it, could all meet countries from all over the land, right? They still can't instill peace. They still can't totally get people to get along. And the gentleman said, why is that? And I said, well, I say this with all respect. Fear. Common denominator is fear, and that is what causes the corruption. It's a cancer. It's a disease. It's toxic. And if they would stop fearing about, oh, well, what this one has and what that one has and what they're going to take from me and what I'm going to take from them, and if they would learn to get along and share. For instance, your country, known for coffee, see? Beautiful coffee and many other things. And here, you know, in this country might have oil, and that country has rice and grain. We could all learn to share and help each other, and then we would not need to be fighting and have war and these kind of things. But the corruption, it starts with what they teach. You know, many of these countries, they're teaching hatred to these children from a child. From a child. And, you know, you put a gun in a child's hands or put a bomb in their hands and say, go blow up that bus or blow up those people, all right, and hate them, and they're taught hatred. But this is why we have corruption. You see? Instead of a hug, instead of teaching them love.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. So tell us about the September 11 terrorist attack, World Trade Center and the Pentagon. What do you think about the terrorist attack in the USA, in New York,
it's an emotional
and
subject,
Washington?
But I'll answer that question. That was a day in history that I don't think any of us, and I'm from New Jersey and New York area. New York is where my career started, and it's the city I love. And you know, when that happened, I think everyone was shocked. We never would think that we would see something like that in our lifetime. You know, there's always been wars and things that have happened in the past, but to see that in peacetime for no reason, and planes that were hijacked and attacking our fine city of New York, it was crushing. I stood here in New Jersey and could see right across to New York City the smoke and the people that were evacuating, and the smoke filled the sky like you would not believe. And I 2 days after the tragedy, I went into New York City, and I went in to see what I could do to help, and they actually cleared me to go through the barriers onto Ground Zero. If you go on my website, on my 9/11 tribute page, you will see some photos. And what I saw, you know, you see pictures on TV, you see, but when you're there, and this is very hard, but you know, I actually had nightmares after it. Like sometimes men and women that serve in war and they have post-war syndrome. That didn't leave me. You know, the graphic picture in my mind of people coming up to me and others coming up with photos of their loved ones. Have you seen my mother, my brother, my sister, my aunt, my uncle? And people just totally in despair. And when they allowed me to go in, I rolled up my sleeves, and I was proud to do it. This is not about me, but I was honored to pitch in and help. Gave water, gave food, I gave blood, and then I physically stood on Ground Zero on the pile, helping them clean up that rubble along with all those workers. And they were there for 9 months doing it. I was there 1 day. And Ricardo, what I saw, it motivated me to sit down and write a song, which that song was the longest it ever took me to write a song. And I entitled it As I Stood Amongst the Ruins, because I literally was standing up to my knees in rubble and soot, dust, and the smell of the fuselage in the air, and death in the air. It was just a horrible thing, and I wish that no one, not in your country, not in my country, not in the world, would ever have to see or experience something like that ever again.
Now tell me about your show you make today, the interview with you make today, the video you sent to me.
The Direction of the Heart. Yes,
tell
actually,
me about this.
Well, as
show,
I said,
please.
I had the honor of being appointed ambassador-in-chief for world peace. I was performing in New York City with another artist, and I was approached by these people, and when I researched it out, I had heard of them, but I didn't know fully, you know, and it was started by Liz Greenwell, who is a woman originally from Ireland. She is in New Zealand with her son Adam Greenwell, and she was, like, to me, I mean, I don't martyrize people no more than I would want to be martyred, but I look very highly to someone of her caliber, that, like a Princess Di, like a Mother Teresa. This is a remarkable woman that saw poverty within her own country and in the world, and began Global Cooperation Day, which is a day of world peace and to reach out and help others. So when I was appointed as ambassador, I was that day 24 hours around the clock worldwide, such as I am with you in Brazil on the air now. I was with Italy and Germany and France, and oh my gosh, all day radio and television interviews, and we spread the love and peace, and we educated people as to what Global Cooperation Day is about, and I recruited many artists and stars to perform, and it was wonderful. It was entertainment, it was educational, and it was putting love and peace out to the entire world. I still get Skypes, I still get messages from people from virtually all over the world, which is such an honor. And so one of the correspondents, Mike Aloya, who resides in Florida, has the American Heart Radio and World Wide Web TV, and he wanted to do an interview again with me after that to kind of follow up on what we accomplished. And we did that interview, and then he says, you know what? I'd like to have you on with me, and we do a show together, and we do it once a week on this very subject of love and God's love and world peace. And I said, wow, it's a great idea. And now we are, this week will be the 5th week tonight, because we pre-record the show each week prior to. So tonight, episode 4 will air at 8:30 p.m., which would be 9:30 your time, p.m. And each week we do the show, and sometimes we have guests on. Love to have you on as a guest sometime, you know. And what we do is we reach out to the masses, and we talk about God, and we talk about ways that we can maybe educate our youth and get more of God back in where it belongs, because, you know, the governments have taken God out of everything, you know. School, prayer, and this is why we see so many problems in the world. And what people can do, because a lot of times, Ricardo, people sit back and say, well, I'm one person, what can I do? But if we collectively gather together, we are strong in numbers, and there's a lot we can
do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you have another project,
a lot of projects
for the
in the future. I mean, I have about 4 or 5 other scripts that are in motion, works in motion, and I have more songs. I have 15 songs that I'm going to be recording on a new album. But everything in its prayer right now. You know, getting my film, The Mentor, done, and I'm so close now that the investors are coming on board now, and we're getting extremely close. That I'm hoping and praying to God that by this spring, which spring starts in another week, but I'm thinking maybe possibly by end of April, May, or even early June to start rolling cameras, and that would be a prayer answered and a blessing. Then once the film is done, promote it, release it. A powerful message will be going out there, and I've gotten offers from many countries, including your country, for it to be shown there, you know, worldwide distribution. So normally a film will do its run here in the United States, then it will go to, you know, DVD, Blu-ray, and then it goes to on-demand and you know, Netflix and all of that, and then it goes overseas and in the theaters. And that's what we look forward to, is to have it in countries all over the world, including your country. So that's the main project, but there are others.
Okay.
You know, I mean, always shows and performing and concerts. I'm planning to do a one-man show, a new lined up out in Vegas, and be doing shows, and I want to launch a one-man show. It's a tribute to George Burns. You remember George Burns? And not only he, but many artists still living, as well as those that are past. It's a tribute to, you know, all the stars, and I do many impressions, you know, do voices. So I will be doing a lot of that in the show.
You accept making show here in Brazil, a tour in all states, all the capitals are here in Brazil.
I would be honored to do a show in the country. That would be great.
Shows here in Brazil.
I mean, if you know anyone there, or what you got to do to, because basically, you know, I mean, they would have to have the facility, or whether it was indoor, outdoor, and we do a show, you know, it would have to be, you know, cleared when you go through customs and with your authorities there. But, you know, speak to whoever you can speak. We could do it at your university even. So speak to your people there, and you let me know, and I would be honored to come to your country with my lovely lady, and we come out there and we do a show. And we'll have a little vacation in between every night. Nice and
thank you.
Lovely people. We would
yeah. I like to interview you, Pete. I hope you have make a lot of success here with your projects, your web show tonight. I will be very happy to watch. I will watch it every single Sunday to your show, and I will division your show for my friends, my family, my friends, my school, my college at Anhanguera. Do you accept to make a
I would be honored. That's what I was suggesting to you, that you could talk to them at the university and see if they would like that. and if they approve it, we could set it up. Then we could be promoting it ahead of time. And I thank you for your listeners and viewers in promoting the show I have each Sunday, Direction of the Heart, which airs, as I said, in your country, 9:30 p.m. They can get it on YouTube. They can get it on my Twitter. And each week is a new episode. And we have guests on. So maybe if you and your teacher and professor would like to come on as a guest, that would be wonderful. And yes, I would be very honored to do a show in your country. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Great. We will be very welcome here.
I would be honored. My lady and I would love to travel out there. It's a beautiful country of yours in Brazil. and we come in and do a nice big concert. It's a big show.
Yeah.
Where I would do my comedy and impressions and do singing. One big concert. Good night.
Oh, thank you. So, this is Ricardo de Almeida Figueiredo from University Anhanguera of São Paulo, interviewing this great author, director, illusionist, Pete DeLorenzo.
It's been my pleasure, and
thanks
my love
for the interview,
to,
Pete.
Everyone there at your university, and to the teachers and professors and all the students, and my love to you and your family and your country. God bless you all. God bless you all, and it was a complete honor.
Thank you.
Okay. You too.
Good
God bless
luck,
you.
Pete. Have a nice day. Thank you.